Good morning, everybody. David Bartel sitting in here for Lee Honish, who is also here, but he's given me controls today to talk a little bit about Advocate Marketing System. We really, I shared some new stuff at the summit the other day, and Lee and I thought that based on the demand and the number of requests that we were getting, that it might be appropriate for us to kind of highlight some of that here. I know Lee's been threatening that I'm going to go 90 minutes. I'm really going to try not to do that and kind of get the highlights here. And so, Lee, I know you're there, so thanks for letting me to do this. And I'm going to ask you so I can concentrate just to kind of monitor the questions. And feel free to interrupt me if it seems like something that we ought to address. And then we'll take a bunch of questions at the end of this. Okay,
I think knowing how these goes, I will insert. Why don't you give out your information right now at the top so that they can contact you?
All right,
because
so
I know how these go.
Yeah, so if you've got to go early, then you want to just go and you want to reach out to me. You can email me at david@homeloanadvocates.com. That's plural, david@homeloanadvocates.com. And my phone number is 805-413-8000. That's 805-413-8000. Sometimes you can't reach me right away, but you can reach Leticia more easily than me, and she can get you on my calendar if you need to chat with me about anything we're talking about today in terms of converting at the door, or if you've got a problem transaction that you need assistance with, a short sale, a loan modification, a foreclosure, those kind of things, I'd be happy to chat with you about it and see if we can offer any assistance. So having said that, let me start by explaining the difference between Monster and Advocate Marketing. Monster basically is, what Lee came up with, and he adapted it from some other idea he had. I didn't really realize that. I heard that on Friday, and he kind of perfected it into what I think is really one of the smoothest, most effective ways to get face-to-face with people who have a high probability of selling the house. That's distressed homeowners. And I love distressed homeowners myself, primarily because most people don't. They don't love distressed homeowners. They seem to like FSBOs and expireds and probates and those kind of things a lot more. I like the distressed property, and those people need the most amount of help. Those people are according to Revo Gateway, this is their statistic. They say that 50+%, 56%, I think is the number of people who are facing foreclosure will list their house within the next 90 days. That is so much lower than everything else, that data. So there's a very high probability that somebody in distressed property is going to list. The question is whether or not going to list with you. So Monster gets you face to face with those people, allows you to have conversations. And what we do at Advocate Marketing System is we use the Monster program. But what Advocate Marketing is about conversion. What do you say at the door? What do you give them? How do you follow up with them? How do you turn that face to face meeting into cash, into income? And that's really what I'm going to focus on today. Lee tells me that the audience here is primarily people who are using Monster already. So an explanation of Monster and how it works and mechanics of how to get data and put them on the door, put stickers on the door is not something we really need to cover. So what I want to cover is kind of get right to the heart of it. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why you want to do this, and then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how to do it. So first of all, I've shared this data before, is that 1 in 95 adults in California is a licensed realtor. There are 205,000 licensed realtors in the state of California. And if you were to eliminate all the people, kids, if you will, under 18 years old, that math is 1 in 95 adults is licensed to sell real estate. 50% of them do 0 transactions. So over 100,000 licensees in the state of California do 0 transactions. So you're But that doesn't mean they won't steal a deal for you. I mean, the number one reason we miss a deal, whether or not it's distressed or another type of lead, is because the homeowner, the seller, can't say no to somebody that they have a relationship with that also happens to be a licensee. And so what we want to do is we want to create differentiation and stand out from among the crowd. I mean, you know, if you look at a board like this, it looks like every agent is exactly the same. And the only thing that agents have in common is that they have a DRE number. There's a huge gap between an ineffective agent, a good agent, and a great agent. And obviously, we're trying to be great at what we do and create a huge differentiation between us and everybody else. They want to chase us. And so we talk about being specialists. So when you go to, if you're involved in one of these big mega agencies, the Keller Williams, the Century 21s, you know, pick one, they all talk about specializations, you know, whether or not it's a neighborhood or it's an expired specialist, a FSBO specialist. I like being a distressed property specialist. And I like being a distressed property specialist because nobody else likes being a distressed property specialist. And they don't like being a distressed property specialist because they're messy. There's a lot of emotion. They take a long time to cultivate and to ultimately get paid on. And a lot of that is just perspective, because under the right circumstances, they're easy and they don't take that much time in order to get paid. And maybe more importantly, it's much easier to convert a client who's facing a deadline, who's facing a lot of stress and anxiety. It's much easier to convert that person than somebody else who isn't up against some of the obstacles. And so advocate marketing is really about being somebody who actually cares, because when we're going to the door and we're having a conversation, we're not really focused on how much money we're going to make. Okay, maybe I should say I'm not focused on how much money I'm going to make. I'm focused on really trying to understand what it is the homeowner is up against, what it is they're trying to accomplish, and then using all my experience and all of my resources in order to help them achieve their objective. That's first and foremost. We're going to help them try to achieve their objective, and we do that work for free, pro bono. We never charge to help somebody keep their house. It's part of what we do as part of our community. It's part of our, what I refer to as our public outreach. You know, I want to give back to my community. I have a sincere desire to want to help people who are facing this kind of challenge. And I have specialized skill and specialized experience and personal experience that allows me to do this well or more effectively than everybody else. And I'm going to create differentiation when I'm going out and meeting with these homeowners by not talking about selling their house, by not talking about listing or allowing me to buy the house. I'm going to focus on helping them get their objective, because I know through that process of really sincerely assisting them that we're going to build a trusted relationship, a rapport that's going to last beyond the end of this transaction in most cases. And when I'm successful, I get great testimonials, and when I'm not successful, I get paid by helping them sell their house, or I get paid when I buy that house and flip that house, and I get to also participate in helping them transition into another house. And so in the rooms, we talked about whether or not it really worked or not, and we had a number of people state their case for it really working. And there's a lot of people that just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep going back to this. And the number one pattern I see more important, you know, more than anything, and people who are affiliated with Monster and Advocate Marketing System, is that they use it, it works, and then they stop using it because they get busy, and then they run out of things to do, and they have to get back at it. And that's one of the biggest mistakes, is that there's an ebb and flow of activities, that they start doing it, and then they get busy with a couple of listings, and those listings turn into another listing, and then the season slows down and like, oh, what am I going to do now? And then they remember, they go back to the basics and they start putting out tags again, and they start the cycle all over again. And one of the things that I really encourage you to do, whether or not you are only a Monster user or a Monster and Advocate marketing system user, is that you do it every week. That the most successful people that are using this program are doing it every single week, and they've got consistency. So think about this. If you go out and you put 20 tags up and you get 4 phone calls, which is what you should do, and you get one of those phone calls to decline, so you get 3 meetings, and you show up at those 3 meetings, and one of them is a no-show, and you have 2 conversations with people, and then you proceed to follow. That means after week 1, just 20 tags, about 2 hours of work. You've got 2 relationships started, and then the following week you've got 4, and the following week you've got 6, and the following week you've got 8. And so, 6 months into the relationship, you've got 40 or 50 people you're having active conversations with, that you've built a trusted relationship, and people who have a very high probability of listing their house. And when they go list their house, because of their specialized circumstances, they want somebody A, they can trust, and somebody B, that's got specialized knowledge that in their situation, foreclosure or distressed property in particular. And number 3, they want to work with somebody who isn't going to judge them and who really cares about the outcome. And so you've got all 3 of those things going for you by the time that happens. Now, don't hear something I didn't say. And I said 6 months from now, you have 40 or 50 people that you're talking to. That does not mean you've got to wait 6 months in order to start getting paid. That just means at the end, by then you might have 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions in escrow already. All I'm saying is that 6 months from now, you've got a pipeline of 40 or 50 people that you're working with that continues to grow. And some people are going to save their house and they come off, and some people are going to sell their house and are going to come off, and some people are going to hold on so tight that they end up losing the house to foreclosure and they're going to fall off. But if you're doing it every single week, you've always got 5, 6, 7 hot prospects that you're working with, and the rest you're just nurturing and following up. And so it does take a little time in order to get it going, but this is effort that you're glad that you made, because it's going to result in consistency of activity that results in the consistency of income, and that income, that activity that's generating that income, is going to spawn other sales. So for me and my business, and we're the top real estate team in Ventura County right now, it only accounts for 15-20% of our business, but that business that we get, these signs in the yard that we have as a result of these distressed properties that we're listing, and only about half of them are short sales. When we do those generate leads of buyers, and they generate leads of sellers, and as a result, our business grows. So I want you to think about the mindset that you're having, and think about the motivation that you have, and set aside the expectation that you're going to get immediate results, even though that oftentimes that's exactly what you're going to get is immediate results. But for the most part, this is a 45 to 75 day window that you've just got to undertake before you really start to see the results, with some exceptions that comes sooner than that. But if you've got nothing else going on, if you're spending hours of your day with nothing to do and you're trying to force activity, there is nothing that I am aware of that will get you better results than going out and using the Monster to get face-to-face with homeowners, and then adding advocate marketing in order to turn those face-to-face relationships into cash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip past the fact that you put you had good data and you put the sticker on the door, and that person called the call center and they scheduled an appointment. What I'm going to talk about now is what to say, and what to give people at the first meeting. So what we did is we upgraded the package. And by the way, there are a lot of people that are hugely successful with Monster all by itself. This is not to say that Monster does not work without Advocate marketing system, because it does. It works. Before I came along, there are enormous levels of success. When I got it, I just, because of the overall brand of my companies, I just wanted everything that we were putting in the packages to be more on brand. And so we took it with Lee's permission and we customized all this stuff. And I spent what maybe well, certainly it was $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 initially, and we continue to add to those expenses, as you'll see as we go through this, in order to enhance the brand. And when I started sharing this with people, there was a great demand for other people to want to do it. So when we created this, it was really for our own internal purposes only. And then based on demand from you and people with similar interests to you, started asking for it. And so we started putting all this stuff together. So this is the introduction letter that you get. I believe this is Lee's original letter that everybody has in their package. You can see we just dressed it up with the Advocate, the Home Loan Advocate logo on it. One of the things that we want you to do, and we give you license to do an Advocate marketing system, is to be affiliated with the Advocate marketing system. So, when I say affiliated, you're not just an individual, who is empathetic to the needs of distressed homeowners. What you are is that you're interested enough that you've joined a national group of like-minded people, like an association of people who specialize in helping people with distress, or that are in distress with their property, they're facing foreclosure. In the seminar on Friday, I likened it to Doctors Without Borders, or even the National Association of Realtors. There are dentists that work on people with cleft palates, and there are people who take they take their skill and they use it for good. I happen to be a realtor. I'm not a doctor. If I were a doctor, I'd go to South America once in a while, and I would invest my time trying to help people who didn't have access to good medical care. Okay, I would be willing to do it. If I was a dentist, I'd take pro bono. If I was a lawyer, I'd invite people in who, and maybe work a few hours a week on cases where people needed an attorney and were underrepresented. So because I'm a realtor, I want to offer my time for free to people who really need my assistance. And so that's how we're kind of position ourselves. And you can see the way we write this is part of our public outreach program. We've been authorized by Home Loan Advocates to offer you assistance with a free loan modification. Then we do the disclosure statement. You need this if you're licensed. And people, they call it a disclosure like it's bad. You got to let people know. Well, the reason that I'm qualified to help you is because I'm a licensed agent, because I have all this experience. It's actually very positive that we disclose this information. It shouldn't be a secret. Even now, when I go out to see a homeowner, I no longer carry Home Loan Advocate business cards. I have them. I don't use them. You don't need them either. What I take is my Help Yourself Full Service Realty business card, and I let them know that I'm affiliated with this other organization, and through that organization, I have access to information and resources that are suited to help them in their particular situation. What we previewed on Friday was this guide called the Insider's Guide to Getting a Loan Modification. To walk them through these 6 essential documents that are needed in order to get a loan document. And this turned into like a 15-page booklet. Those of you that came to the seminar, and you asked for it, I've sent it to you already. If you didn't get it, check your spam filter. I was collecting business cards, and we got that off, I think, Monday. If you're listening to this webinar right now and you'd like to get a copy of the Insider's Guide to Getting a Loan Modification, just send me an email at david@homeloanadvocates.com, david@homeloanadvocates.com. And if you're already an Advocate Marketing System, this is in the resource CD already, in the Dropbox CD that's set up just for Advocate marketing members. And it's customizable. Just like all the forms, you can see that it's customizable so that you can put your logo or your picture and your contact information here, so that every document that's in your package is a business card. You don't really even need to give them a business card, though I give them one, because I make sure my contact information is on every document. And if this document stands out over another and it gets separated from the package, I want them at a glance to be able to find my phone number in case they want to have a conversation. And I want them seeing my logo or seeing my picture or seeing, or seeing my name every time they pick this thing up or they walk by it laying on a table, next to where they might be spending a lot of time. The other document that we put, and these are the two critical documents. I have surmised that this Insider's Guide to Loan Modification, along with the alternatives of foreclosure, are almost the only things that you need in a package. Everything else that we put in the package is really just to overcome objections that the homeowner is going to have. It just provides an independent third-party information that contradicts the perspective or perception that homeowners have about their situation, and gives them something to think about that maybe they are taking for granted. So when we present the alternatives of foreclosure, we're literally showing them what 9 options that they have. These are all of them. I'm not really aware of any of them. And when I walk people through the 9 options, basically I'm putting an X and X and X. I'm circling loan modification. I'm Xing this, Xing this, Xing this. I'm circling bankruptcy. I'm circling sale. And so at the end of the day, I let them know, without trying to tell them that selling is the only option, because it's not. I let them know that if you can't get a loan modification, which I'm going to help you do, then you might want to, you may have no choice but to transition out of your house and into something else. And while bankruptcy is an option, it's not an option that's going to allow you to keep your house. That's forever. At some point, bankruptcy protection is going to run out, and you're going to be right back in the situation. So it's only a tool to get you built, to give you time to execute one of the 2 most likely options, which is option number 4, loan modification, and option number 9, which is sell your house. And I use the term transition into a new house. I actually have written another document that's called bankruptcy and foreclosure. It's in final editing right now. We're going to be including that in the as part of Advocate Marketing System. It should be ready any minute. It's definitely going to be ready by the time we launch our live coaching group, which is going to start Tuesday. So just FYI, and I've got a number of new handouts that I've really recommitted as we've seen foreclosures beginning to rise again, and we're seeing our pipeline at Home Loan Advocates growing again. By the way, our business grew year over year, last year to the year before, and it looks like it's going to grow this year over the year before. And this is a business we thought was going out of business in 2013, which is the reason I started, I started Help Yourself Full Service Realty, because I thought our home loan advocate business was going to die, and it's not thriving like it was back in the peak, but it's growing, and that is a surprise to me, and it's certainly an indicator of what's happening in the market. And I think that we ought to all be ready for a shifting environment. Why I'm not of the opinion that the market is going to crash. I am of the opinion that foreclosure starts are going to continue to rise, and more people are going to need our help. So these are the documents that we use to overcome overcome objection. So the big objection that we get is when we go to the door, we're saying, hey, I'm letting you know that you've gotten, that you have a foreclosure date on March 31st, and I just want to make sure that you've gotten it taken care of. And the answer is it's always taken care of. And then I get to say, well, I've got two concerns. Concern number one is that if you've got it taken care of, you shouldn't have a foreclosure date, because according to the California Homeowner Bill of Rights, you can't have a foreclosure date and be in an active loan mod. So either you're not in an active loan mod like you think you are, or you are in an active loan mod, and the bank is going to foreclose on you. Either way, we need to get to the bottom of it. Okay, and that's when I offer to step inside and help them. Then I'm saying, so why don't we do this? What I'd like to do is I'd really like to help you with this. Perhaps you'd like to step inside where we have a little more privacy, and then I can explain to you why you should, why this may not be handled, and we can even call the bank with you if you'd like, to see if we can get to the bottom of this and find out in just a few minutes whether or not it is in fact taken care of, or it's something that you need to address, because if you wait till the last minute, you'll lose the ability to take any kind of evasive action. The State Bar of California really overcomes the objection that they've gotten it taken care of. It says that it's illegal for attorneys to charge upfront for loan modifications. So this is the State Bar of California. Then there's a Cal BRE. This is from it's the DRE again. So it's illegal in California for lawyers to demand, charge, or collect any advance, upfront, or retainer fees, or any other type of prepayment compensation for loan modification work or services, or any other form of loan forbearance. So basically, when I hear these responses almost 100%, it's not 100%, but it's almost 100% of the time. So I say, so you have it taken care of? They say yes. I say, great. Are you doing it yourself? Do you have a real estate professional, or is there another professional helping you get your loan modification? They say, no, I have a lawyer doing it. I said, great. I'm really thrilled to hear that. You didn't pay them up front, did you? And it's either silent or the answer is yes. And so now I say I've got two concerns. Number one, my concern is that you're under the impression that you've gotten it taken care of, yet the public records are showing that you have a foreclosure coming up on the 31st. And according to the California Homeowner Bill of Rights, that shouldn't happen. Either you're in loan mod review and it's getting taken care of, or you're not, in which time you have a foreclosure date. You should not have both of them. So I'm concerned about that. Number two, I'm concerned that the person who's telling you that it's all handled, presumably the attorney that you paid up front for, took money from you illegally for loan mod services, because according to the California BRE, it's illegal in California for lawyers to demand, to charge, to collect any advance, upfront, or retainer fees, or any type of prepayment compensation for loan modification work. Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'm not saying that you've been taken advantage of, because there are a lot of legitimate attorneys out there, and I don't know the type of relationship that you have, but when was the last time you spoke to the bank? Oh, my attorney told me not to talk to the bank. They said I'll just mess it up, so I haven't done it. And he's the one that said, I said, well, listen, I don't want to say that you've been taken advantage of, but if I were concerned that you might find me out if I was misleading you, I would tell you not to call the bank either. I don't know what harm it would take to call the bank for you to ask them a few simple questions to find out exactly what the status of your loan modification is, and to make sure that you don't have approval. I speak to banks on a regular basis. I've got a questionnaire of 6 or 7 questions that we can ask the bank. What I'd like to propose is that we step inside where we have a little more privacy. We can call the bank together. There's no cost or obligation for any of this. We can call the bank together. I'll put them on speakerphone. You'll authorize them to speak to me this one time that we're together. I'll ask them a handful of questions. You'll hear the answers, and we'll know in just a few minutes whether or not you actually have it taken care of, and what the status of your foreclosure is, so that you know whether or not it's something that you don't have to worry about, or it's something you need to take immediate evasive action on, and why there's no cost or obligation whatsoever. The only thing that I ask is that you want my help. I would very much like to assist you with this because I'm very concerned. Would you allow me to do that? And very often I find myself on the phone with the bank in the next few minutes. Okay, and it's not really any more complicated than that. For those of you that are outside of California, we have the FTC mortgage relief scams warning, which basically tells them right over here that it's illegal for companies to collect any fees until a homeowner has actually received an offer of relief from his or her lender and accepted it. That means even if you agree to have a company help you, you don't have to pay until it gets you the result you want. So maybe the California Homeowner Bill of Rights and the California the BRE and the California Bar, those documents don't make your point, but this FTC mortgage relief scam certainly does that. And then we have two versions of the homeowner assistance scams flyer. One's California and one's national. In other words, one mentions California and one doesn't. Okay, we have the truth about loan modifications. This is just supporting information that we don't have to use very often. But when I do use this, I'm using it in the context of explaining that only 15% of people end up getting a trial loan mod, and only 4% of people end up with a permanent loan modification. So we use this information to show that to them. We use this one again to help them understand loan mods. I don't spend much time using this anymore either. We wrote this book, How to Negotiate Your Own Loan Mod. This is a much more detailed guide than the new guide, the Insider's Guide to Getting a Loan Modification. I do not put this in the first package. This goes in the second package, and one for my second meeting. And in the second meeting, what we're doing is we're really starting to analyze what their loan mod is. And this has the mathematical formulas: the front end debt to income, the back end debt to income, the pre-mod cash flow, the post-mod cash flow, and the net present value. It really gets into the mechanics of a loan mod. This is what I use when I hear somebody's paying a lawyer $1,000 a month in order to keep their house out of foreclosure. I have never, ever once in all the dozens, maybe hundreds of homeowners that I've spoke to that have done this with lawyers, I've never once seen the outcome end up saving the house for the homeowner. It does buy them more time, but so does working with us. Difference is we don't charge them a fee every single month in order to do that. Most of what these lawyers do is something that we can do for free. They're basically saying, hey, don't pay your bank, pay me, and I'll keep you from having to pay the bank for a long time. And so it enriches the lawyer, and it doesn't really help the homeowner. And the truth of the matter is that the homeowner just used that money they paid the lawyer and paid their arrearage instead, or worked out some repayment with the bank, they'd be in a lot better situation. Every single person that I know that has ever done this, there may be exceptions to this, but I haven't found it yet, has ended up losing their house. And they lost the money they spent on the lawyer. They threw good money after bad money, and they could have used that money in order to get transitioned to a new house, or even to have a down payment on a new house, because there are programs out there that allow them to buy pretty quickly from there. So this is the mass joinder lawsuit, and we have custom forms that are available if you're in Florida and North Carolina and Nevada. New York is in progress. We had custom forms for Arizona, but those programs have been programs are defunct now, so we don't need them there anymore. And all of these flyers here are customizable. So as I said before, they kind of they create every document is with your makes it your business card basically, so it makes it easy for you to find. So what we're including in the package is all that documentation plus the limited license to use the HLA logo, the Home Loan Advocate logo, and then the coaching to do the first 90 seconds. So I tell the story about my first 90 seconds. I still laugh at myself for doing it. And you probably have all heard it, so I'll give you the short version. But the bottom line is, the first door I ever went to, the first tag that I ever did and went to, I knocked on the door and nobody answered. And I remember being calm and cool and collected, not feeling like I needed to be properly prepared. I showed up, like I was the man, and I knocked on the door, and I was overcome with fear and anxiety. I mean, I nearly hyperventilated. And I knocked on the door, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. And they didn't answer. So I decided to knock again. And this time I knocked a little softer because I was afraid they were going to answer. And I'm thinking, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. And then I walked away thinking I was going to just leave. And I could see through this pane window on the side of the door that could go all the way to the back patio, where they had a sliding glass door on the back. And I saw a group of adults sitting around a table outside by the pool, just having a good old time. So I decided I'd knock one more time, even softer than before, and I left out of there relieved that nobody answered the door, because I realized I was really ill prepared to have that conversation. And I got into the car. I called Diana, who trained me. She can certainly train you. For those of you that want coaching and just want to know what to say and do at the front door, you do not have to sign up for Advocate Marketing System to do that. Diana is more than capable, more than willing to do it. She trained me. Of course, I put my spin on it, but she was the one that made me understand that I really had to at least have the first paragraph or two ready to go, and then kind of let the conversation take on a life of its own. All I had to do was survive the first 90 seconds. And what I learned very quickly after that is that if I just knew how to start the conversation, that if I could hold on for the first 90 seconds, then that conversation generally lasted 20 to 60 minutes after that. And I had a very high probability that I would get a second meeting. And that scenario proved to be exactly right. And so this is what you do in the first 90 seconds. The first thing you have to do is you have to tell them that you're making a delivery. They called, they made an appointment, and you're there to make the appointment. You let them know that you're a homeowner advocate and you're there as part of your public outreach. You show them the foreclosure date that they have, and I tell them, so you have a foreclosure date of, according to the public records, you have a foreclosure date coming up on March 31st. So this is what it might sound like until now. It said, hey, I'm David Bartels. I'm a homeowner advocate. I'm affiliated with Home Loan Advocates. And as part of our public outreach, we reach out to a handful of homeowners every week to try to assist them with their property that may be facing foreclosure. There's no cost or obligation for the services. And I see that you've got a foreclosure date coming up on March 31st. And the first question that I want to ask you is, do you have it taken care of? Okay, and the answer that they come back at is almost always yes. Now, if they say yes, I've got it taken care of, now we go through this question dialogue that you've already heard me say today, which is, great, are you doing it yourself, or do you have a real estate or other professional assisting you with it? They said, no, I've got a lawyer handling it. Great. I'm glad to see that you're working with somebody in order to get it done. You didn't pay for the lawyer up front, did you? They say, yes. I said, well, great. I said, okay, well, I have a couple of concerns. Concern number one is that you're under the impression that you've got it taken care of, but the public records show that you have a foreclosure date coming up on March 31st. And number two, the person who probably told you that it's got it taken care of knowingly and willingly took money from you illegally, okay, to provide you with loan modification or foreclosure avoidance services. And so the question I need to ask you now is, when was the last time you spoke to the bank? Well, what I'd like to do is I'd really like to, perhaps you'd like to step inside where we have a little more privacy. I'd really like to make sure that you understand the alternatives of foreclosure. And more importantly than that, I want to make sure that that you don't have a problem here that you don't think that, that you have. Because according to the California Homeowner Bill of Rights, you should not have a foreclosure date and be an active loan mod. One of those things isn't true. So either you're in a loan mod and your foreclosure date has been canceled, even though it doesn't show it on the public records, or you're not in active loan modification and the bank is going to foreclose in a couple of weeks. What I'd like to do is call the bank with you directly. There's no cost or obligation whatsoever. I've got a list of questions. Here's the list of questions. I show it to them. It's what we call the weekly lender questionnaire. I said, I'd like to call the bank. I'd like to ask these questions of the bank. We'll put them on speakerphone. You'll authorize me one time. I'll walk through the questions. It'll take 5 or 6 minutes. And as soon as we get done with that, you'll know whether or not you have a problem or not. You'll know whether or not you need to be worried or not. You'll know exactly where you stand and whether or not evasive action is necessary in order to get it done. In all likelihood, you're probably okay. But this is not something you want to wait around to figure out, because it gets to the point where it's too late and there's absolutely nothing that you can do. There's no cost or obligation for me to assist you in this. The only thing that I ask is that you want my help. I'm very concerned. I'd very much like to help. Will you allow me to assist you here for a few minutes? And the answer is oftentimes yes. And we get to go in and we literally call the bank. Now, if they're just and then it goes from there. And now I make the phone call, and sometimes we're sitting, sometimes we're standing, but we almost always end up sitting and having a conversation. And they're so appreciative of the effort. And they probably have never seen anybody go to bat. Their attorney tells them what they're doing, but they've never witnessed it. Now, for the first time, they're seeing somebody actually advocate for them. And so we teach you how to ask those questions. We teach you what those answers actually mean, so that you can communicate it to the homeowner and speak to them with a level of expertise that's reassuring and confidence building. Okay, which may be a feeling they don't have with their attorney that has charged them, $3,000, $4,000 to do what you're now offering to do for no cost. If they're just putting their hand through the door and saying, hey, I just want the package, I step back and say, no, you can't have, it requires some explanation. And then I go through it page by page. I show them the introduction letter. I show them the insider's guide to loan mod. I show them the alternatives of foreclosure. And when I get to the alternatives of foreclosure, I said, I don't really know anything about your situation. Tell me, what did the bank do to you? So what did the bank do to you? And so when I go through it, and sometimes they give me a long answer, sometimes they don't. But either way, I get back to the alternatives of foreclosure, and through process of elimination, like I shared a little earlier, I'm going through the 9 options, putting X's through the things that don't apply, and I'm circling the things that do apply, and they're left with 2 options, which is loan mod or sell. I don't have to tell them that when I do that, I don't have to tell them if you don't get a loan modification, you have to sell your house, because it's already implied. I don't have to do anything. And they say they're going to choose bankruptcy, and I explain to them that bankruptcy is only going to buy them more time, which is the reason why I wrote this new white paper called Bankruptcy and Foreclosure. So it's more supporting documentation that goes in my package that I can use to explain why bankruptcy is not a bulletproof solution. In fact, it's far from bulletproof, and oftentimes it only complicates it. And there are 2 decisions that you have to make. One is, should you file bankruptcy to solve this problem? And number 2, if I'm going to do that, what's the right timing to be able to do that? I address both, as well as the types of bankruptcy that they could and should do, and what the advantages and disadvantages are. And of course, I open it by saying I'm not giving legal advice and recommend they speak to a bankruptcy lawyer. And then I focus on scheduling the next meeting. In fact, this is the objective of the first meeting. My objective is not to get a listing. My objective is to get a second meeting. So everything that I say or do is really designed to get a second meeting. So that means I'm not selling them hard. I left my salesperson hat at home. All I'm doing here is taking the time to find out what they want, and I'm spending the rest of the time helping them get it. And what I figured out is that if I take the time to find out what people want and I spend the rest of the time helping them get it, this is what I learned from Dale Carnegie, is that I don't need any high pressured or slick closing techniques in order to get people to choose me, because choosing me will be the natural conclusion towards which all my efforts have been directed. So I'm going to focus on scheduling the next meeting. And in my next meeting, and that may be, I've got an escalation form that I want to bring. I'll bring a clean loan mod. I'd like to take a look at your loan mod app. I'd like to bring you the book on how to negotiate your own loan modification. And I'd like to work together in order to improve your application to give you the best chance of getting a loan mod and keeping your house. So here's the Door word track. We cover it. We cover it in great detail in week 2 of the coaching group that we're going to do. You can see the dialogue that we use. It's very similar to what I was using to do that. And you can see it's important that you speak to the bank directly, everything that we talked about. This is the weekly lender questionnaire that I referenced. These are the things that we do. People talk to me about follow-up all the time. Well, the most effective follow-up that I do is teaching the homeowner to call me every week with an update. And that's what this form is really designed to do, is to call me and to review the results. They can call me, they can email me, they can text me with their results. So when I teach them how to do this, and I'm doing that when I make the first call to the bank with them, when I teach them how to do this, I'm explaining to them how important it is. And once I get some information, I'm able to go through and explain what that means, what that means, what that means, or what it will mean. And so they say, I'm going to call the bank on Thursday. I say, great, will you call me and update me after you speak to the bank? They say yes, and then they don't. And then so I call them on Friday. And on Friday when I call them, I'm not calling and say, hey, you ready to list? You ready to sell? Are you ready to get a good night's sleep? I'm not having that conversation with them. I'm simply calling them, hey, it's David. I just wanted to check in with you and see what happened when you spoke to the bank. Did you get a chance to speak to them yesterday like you hoped? And they either say yes, and then I said, well, what happened? And they give me the highlights. Well, there's no new information. Okay, great. Well, you want to make sure you call them again next week and call me with the results, and we'll go from there. And then I call them the next week. Hey, what happened? If they don't call me, what happened when you talked to the bank? And I didn't talk to them. Well, call them right now and then call me right back. It's really, really important, because these guys will sneak up with you. You don't want to wait to find out that they're doing something that's going to be harmful to you, and you don't know, because they'll let you know, but a letter might take 2 weeks to get to you. You want to know as soon as they know, and you need to check in at least once a week. And so through that process, after 2, 3, 4 weeks, I can get them calling me. I can get them in the habit of calling me, and my follow-up to them becomes a lot more effective. And I earn the right to be their go-to source of information related. And when they get any information that's new, they call me and say, what's this mean? This is what they said. What do I make of that? And now I've just become their trusted advisor. And so when they finally get the letter that 85% of people get initially, that their loan mod has been declined, that they can't even get a trial payment, then their question is always, well, what's next? I said, well, let's get together and let's review where we are and what we need to do. You do have a couple of options here at play. Is now okay, or is tomorrow better? Whatever. I'm just trying to get an appointment. And now I go through and look at them, and they're going to want to keep their house still. They're going to want to try again. But now I get to have a conversation with them. Have your financial circumstances changed? If your financial circumstances haven't changed, then applying again is going to be futile. Now, if we're going to apply again, we need to switch up your income. We need to switch up your expenses. But you'll notice that one of the things that we're asking here is, what income are you using to calculate my loan mod? What expenses are you using to calculate my loan mod? Because from there, what we're able to do is calculate the front end debt to income, the back end debt to income, the pre-mod cash flow, the post-mod cash flow, and then we can take a stab at net present value as well, which is how the bank really ultimately decides whether or not they're going to give somebody a loan mod or not, because the bank net present value is a fancy term for the bank asking, are we going to make more money by modifying, or do we make more money by foreclosing? And if they're going to make more money by foreclosing, then they foreclose. And there's nothing that you can do. This is the reason why people with equity have such a hard time getting a loan mod, because the bank can liquidate the house, get paid all the past due arrearages, all the penalties, all the late fees, all the foreclosure fees, all the trustee fees, everything. They're made whole, and then they get to take your money, and they get to lend it to somebody else. And the banks know that the redefault rate is about 40%. So they're only willing to do that really on deals on transactions that they are going to be short on if they liquidate. So they'll take a 40% bet, okay, versus a zero bet. They know what the sum is going to be in most cases if they foreclose. So that's really what's going on. And this is all information that you want to be fluent in these questions and the answers. So we actually we teach in week 3 the loan mod cash flow worksheet, and we show you how to calculate the pre-mod cash flow and the post-mod cash flow. We show you how to do that so you can, in a way that's going to explain it to your sellers so that they can understand why they're not getting a loan mod. I mean, we can literally show them mathematically, if you were the bank, would you give a loan mod to somebody? You not only people either have too much income or too little income, and they don't know which is better, too much income or too little income. I have people who are really hiding their income. Then I got people who can't get a loan mod because they don't make enough income. Then we got people who are showing too much income, even manufacturing income, in the form of room rentals and other things. And they've already got too much income. And sometimes we need to redo their loan mod application to show less income, and we can get them approved sometimes. But we're able to explain to them why we do it that way. Now, all of a sudden, they're looking at you differently because, okay, this person really knows what they're talking about. This is more information than I've ever received on this. And it makes perfect sense why my income should be higher, my income should be lower, my expenses should be higher, my expenses should be lower. We walk you through how to do all of that. So this is, again, the alternative foreclosure that we talked about. And so the first 90 seconds, remember, why are you at the front door? How'd you get their information? You want to be prepared to discuss their loan modification. So we teach you loan mod, so you can be fluent in loan mod. And there's only a handful of things you really need to be able to talk about. But more importantly than that, if you get into a conversation with somebody who's over your level of expertise, the reason you're affiliated with Home Loan Advocates is the unlimited transaction consultations that I give you. So you just call me and I'll take a look at the loan mod application. I'll make recommendations. I'll send it back to you and or the homeowner so they can do it and do it that way. And by the way, we do not do loan mods for people. We do not do it for people. We simply coach them on how to do it. And the reason for that is that you don't want to be accused of intentionally getting it turned down or having ulterior motive. You want to just give them the best advice you can and let them advocate or let them do it themselves. I've seen a lot of you over the years really care more about getting a loan mod than the client does. And that's not cool. If they don't want a loan mod as much as you want it for them, and they don't want to turn their paperwork in, they don't want to call the bank, it's not your burden to do it for them. They're just going to get declined. You just want to stay in touch. You want to continue to encourage them. You want to explain to them what the consequence of not cooperating with the bank is. And you just want to continue to be present and helpful and supportive and encouraging. And when their loan mod gets declined, then you want to be there to offer them a plan B and or plan C. So that's really what you're thinking about. By the way, the number one reason loan mods are declined, 65%, is because of incomplete paperwork. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you haven't submitted everything, but what it does mean, what it does mean is that the bank doesn't have it. So we got to send it again, and we got to send it again. So one of the questions that we ask every week is, do you have everything? And the answer needs to be yes. And if it's not, even if we send it to them 5 times, there's no benefit arguing with the bank out of frustration that they don't have what you sent them 5 times. Just send them what they're asking for and get on with it. It's a lot faster and a lot easier. Okay. So remember, be an advocate. Have a heart of service. Forget about selling them something. Don't try to offer to buy or sell their house. Focus on what they want. Let them do the talking. Make sure you review the alternatives of foreclosure, and keep in mind that this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. It's your first meeting. It's not the last meeting. And so in the second package, this is what we're taking: how to negotiate your own loan mod. We're doing the request for modification. This is not a custom form. You can go right now and just Google form 710 and it'll show up, and you can have this. This can be used with any bank to request a loan modification or a short sale. Okay, so this is the generic government form that you can use. This is a special form that we use, which is an escalation authorization. This is the only time we have a third-party form filled out by the homeowner. This is the only time we make a call on their behalf, and we only do this because the homeowner themselves can't call the bank. So we fill this out. It's got 2 important questions here. So when you submit this, you're submitting it: initiation or continuance of foreclosure action is a violation of program guidelines, and there is no foreclosure date. So what we're doing is we're going to the Treasury Department and we're telling on the bank, and we're saying, hey, this bank has denied this person's loan mod unfairly. Okay, and they violated the programs, and there's not a foreclosure date coming up. Or this button says they've denied the loan mod unfairly, and there is a foreclosure in the next 14 days. So it's different levels of urgency. So you have them fill it out and you sign it. You give them a brief description of why they're not properly calculating income, not properly calculating expenses, improper calculation of of NPV. Whatever it is, you want to keep it simple. You want to sound like you know what you're doing, and then you want to send this to them. And there's an email, an escalation email that you send it to, and then you call the 800 number, which is somewhere in this form. Okay, and then you go from there. Here's page 2 of the escalation form. So this is what you want to do. So the question you got to be asking yourself here is, as we go through this, is, can you see yourself doing this? And if you do, will you convert more homeowners? Will you turn it into conversations? Will you turn it into follow-up? Can you build a pipeline of 40 or 50 people in 6 months, of which maybe 10% have a high probability of listing right now with you? And by the way, if you spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months nurturing these relationships and they get ready to list, who else are they going to list with? Okay. So what we're really talking about is the helping distressed homeowners. So I'm going to try to wind this down now, is that when we start thinking about what's in the package, this is what we're doing. So we're starting you out with the 10 steps to success. So even if you've never used Monster before, we'll get you up to speed. So we include Monster in the package. We're going to make sure that you've got the labels, the first 120 labels. We're going to give you the insider's guide to loan mods. We're going to give you the introduction letter, the disclosure statement, the homeowner assistance scams, the truth about loan mods, the Ask the Banker, the how to negotiate your own loan mod book for the second package, the California Homeowner Bill of Rights, the CalBRE Consumer Alerts, the Senate 94 flyer, the Mass Joinder lawsuit flyer, the alternatives to foreclosure, okay, the weekly lender questionnaire, the door word tracks, the loan mod cash flow, the RMA, the escalation authorizations. And then we're going to give you the ability to customize every one of these documents so that your information is on them all the time. So you're the source of the information, and they can reach you from any form that might be in your package. We then give you limited license to use the logo, and there's more. I just made myself laugh. Okay. So one of the things we talked about the weekly follow-up where you're calling them, hey, what happened when you called the bank? Then we also created this 21-step email follow-up campaign that's full of helpful trust-building info, and it's called Defeat Foreclosure. This is a book I edited. I did not write. William and Merle wrote the book, and we turned their 21-chapter book into 21 emails. They're all available through the Advocate marketing system. And then what I've also done is I've created a simple 4-email follow-up campaign as well. This first one says, stay in your home even if you can't make your mortgage payments. Okay, and we're re-emphasizing your value. There's no cost or obligation to help you keep your home. So if you're interested in getting help, just reply to this email, okay, for a no-cost consultation. Okay. Email number 2 is, don't make these mistakes with your loan mod. And so this is where we actually give them a link to a blog post that I also wrote for you called Trial Payments and Mortgage Modifications, how that works. And it gives them step-by-step details on what to do and what not to do if they're in the process of applying for a loan mod. And if you'd like us to review your application for a loan mod and offer tips that will increase your chance of approval, okay, then let us know. There's no cost or obligation to help you avoid foreclosure. And this is the 5-page blog post. This can be used as web copy. It can be sent as an attachment. It can be a blog post so that you can link it to whatever your level of sophistication is. Here's the 5-page blog post that talks about the trial payments and mortgage modification. Then we created a 3rd email that says, don't give up, we can help. And basically, if you're in need of help, we select 5 or 10 homeowners facing foreclosure each month and provide them with free assistance to postpone or cancel. There's never any cost or obligation. All you have to do is want our help to avoid foreclosure. So some of this language might sound familiar to you. Just reply. I see some typos, so we'll fix that. So just reply to this email with a brief explanation and your phone number, and we'll contact you within 24 hours. And then number 4 is, was your loan modification app denied? Okay, so many people are denied before they're even approved. We've written a popular blog post, so how to appeal a mortgage loan modification denial. So this is something that you might also put in your second package as well, the loan modification denial. So if you had trouble getting it approved, we can help, and it won't cost you any money. We never charge to help you keep your home out of foreclosure. And so here's the link. Is a 6-page blog post, how to appeal a loan modification denial. So I've just decided that I'm going to take these 2 documents and I'm going to have them built into attachments that can go in your package as well. So these would both be good packages to put in your second meeting package, or items to put in the second meeting package. I'm going to help them. I'm going to have these things built so that you can customize them, put your contact info so they can be part of your package as well. This is a script that we created for decline messages that we've talked about in these calls before. And yes, there's more still. We're even giving everybody that signs up for Advocate marketing system the free t-shirt or the free polo shirt. A couple people had them at the seminar on Friday. I was thrilled to see. We pay for this. It's included. So when I go to the door, I'm wearing a pair of nice jeans, not holy jeans or faded jeans, but nice dark jeans with either a white or black shirt, just, on the logo. Some people are more comfortable doing that than others. I like doing it that way. And we give you the ability to do that. So if you'd like a shirt and you're part of this package, we'll send you this order form, and we'll be happy to send that to you. So here's what goes into the mentoring program. So, first of all, we set everybody up. Can we set somebody up to step-by-step, step-by-step up video? All right, I got to figure that out. So we give you a step-by-step video of how to get set up. I think that should be setup video. All right, 4 group mentoring sessions. So we're going to start those on Tuesday, by the way, at 10:30 a.m. I know that's not convenient for everybody. It is convenient for me, which is why I chose it. And I know many of you will be able to do it. If you can't, don't worry about it. We record them, and you'll get it by the end of the day. So you can watch it in the evenings, or you can watch it on a date and time that is good for you, or the weekend, or what have you. So we will record them all. I'll give you 2 private mentoring sessions on anything you want to talk about your business. If you just want to talk about building your business, you want me to walk you through what I did in 2009 when I had just lost $1 million. My house was in foreclosure. My car was got repossessed. And I built what we're doing today out of the ashes of that. And it was just me and an assistant who was collecting unemployment while working for me for free and helped me build it up. She still works for me. That's Leticia. But now she gets paid and has for a long time, and and I made her a partner, actually, to thank her for her loyalty and her commitment. But if you want to see what we've done to take that and kind of blow it up into what it is today, that's got, us, the top sales team in Ventura County, the short sale negotiation company, the property management company, the escrow company, the home services company. We can show, and it's all the same walk every single day. And that's in addition to the investment opportunities that we come across and take advantage of here and there. So these are all things that are available. If you want to just talk about building your business, how to get started, how to transition, how to get to the next level, I'm happy to have all these chats with you. And so I offer you 2 private conversations to do that with. I do unlimited transaction related consultations. You need help with a loan mod, you need help with a short sale, you need help with a deal structure, you need help closing a deal. You need somebody to tell you you're crazy and to leave it alone. You need somebody to tell you that you're missing a deal and you should try this. Whatever it is, I will give you transaction related consultations, and you get all the rest of the information that we talked about. So this is a lot of information that we provide. And so again, now you've got 3 questions. Can you see yourself implementing this program? Will you convert more homeowners? And if you did, will you make more money? And for me, the answer to that is obviously yes. If you're not a Monster client right now, I think everybody is. If you're not a Monster client, this is 1997, but it does include Monster, okay? And so we'll get just the setup. So week 1 is setup, week 2 is delivery, week 3 is conversion, overcoming objections, loan modifications. We invite you to all future groups, the 2 private mentoring sessions, the unlimited transaction related consultations. And here's something that we do is I do a full refund when you close your first short sale. So if you join the group and you send us a short sale, and I'll give you a full refund. Now, if I've closed a short sale with you in the last 12 months, okay, I'll put you in the program for free too. So you can either pay $997, okay, you can pay $997 to upgrade to AMS, and I'll give you your money back at the end when we close your first short sale, or you just tell me the short sale that we closed for you, not worked on, but closed for you, and I will put you in for free. You can email me at david@homeloanadvocates to be able to do that. Or you can go to www.advocate.house. This is a website that Lee set up. You can go to right now. Lee can, I don't know if he's planning to send a follow-up email, but he can email this to you.
Of course I am.
As well, so that you can sign up for that and go from there. But that really kind of addresses everything, and something tells me there might be a few questions here. Lee, you managed to let me go through that without any kind of interruption whatsoever. So I'll take a breath here, and I will stand by for questions. I hope that's helpful to everybody, and I hope you all found something that you might be able to do differently to get better results. And more importantly, I hope a lot of you take the time to join us and to be part of this training program. And if you're thinking about that's exactly what you need and that's exactly what you want to do, and the only thing that you're missing is the money, then I'm going to tell you, you need it more than anybody else. There is not a more cost-effective way to invest in yourself and invest in your future and to figure out how to get it turned away than this. So just think about it. And if you need really special consideration, then call me and I'll try to help you. But if you're serious about doing Monster, you're serious about helping distressed people, this is the program for you. Thanks, everybody.
There you go. Any questions, everyone?